Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to go ahead and start the RF alignment here. And just if you're following along, I'm going to be starting with the first IF and I'll be adjusting A4, moving along to A3, and then I'll move into the second IF, adjusting A2 and A1. And then I'll kind of continue back and forth and peak those levels here, looking for maximum deflection here on the DC side of the meter. Again, I have the RF signal generator hooked up with a signal inserted at 455 kilohertz. So let's get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and adjust this first IF here. Oh man, thing's way off here. And again, what you want to do is lower the signal as low as you can. And I'm surprised it was that far off. Okay, it seems to be peaked at that location. Let's go back to the primary. And back to the secondary. Okay, let's move over here to the primary. This one's a little sensitive. That looks about like it. Okay. Just readjust here. And one more time here on the secondary. Okay, I think that's it. At least for the IF section. Let me disconnect the RF carrier and we'll just see what kind of reception we get on the radio. Then we'll move into the additional setup requirements here. Take a look at those. Okay, here I'm going to make an adjustment here right on the tuning condenser itself. And again, I've got the signal generator set for 1.7 megahertz or 1700 kilocycles. However you prefer to hear it listed. And the idea here is to align your dial to 1700, and you know, who knows about this dial. It's probably somewhere in this area, but it looks like I'm tuning just below 1700 right now at this point in time. So I'll be adjusting A5. And let me get this moved back over to where I think 1700 kilocycles would be roughly. Then we'll play around with the adjustment here, kind of back and forth. That's a little tight. Sorry about that having my hand. In the way. Okay, I'm going to turn off the signal generator now. I just want to see how the dial is tracking before I make the last adjustment here, using some of the local off-air broadcasters for reference. Okay, I made this last adjustment off camera. It really didn't change much at all. Again, the idea there is to generate a carrier right around 1400 kilocycles from 1.4 megahertz, which I did, and then peak it. But that particular adjustment was spot on. So the the IFs, first and second IFs, were way out of alignment, and I promise I had not touched them, which is kind of surprising they were that far out. And then really one adjustment on the tuning condenser itself to somewhat get the dial to track. It looks like, in my just perception here, what I see, it looks like the dial itself, everything's tracking a little bit on the high side, but I have followed the alignment procedures according to the directions, so I'm going to let it be. So let me get these connections I made underneath removed, and then we'll give the radio another play here and see what we can pick up here locally. Okay folks, I've got the RF alignment complete now on this little Olympic All-American 5. Again, this is a model 6502. And my dial string, still need to restring this. It's missing. But I'll take care of that. So for now, I'm going to tune the radio here directly back to the shaft on the tuning condenser. So we'll start down, around 550 kilocycles and see what we can pick up here. Again, I'm just using the loop antenna. I believe that's probably a station up on the northern part of North Carolina, or back down in Columbia, South Carolina.
Anyone else? It wasn't happening. So again, it makes for great headlines.
Championship game and maybe pull the upset.
Final question for Ed Harden here this morning, and Ed, we'll get a chance to chew on this for the next month plus now until games actually start. But coming off of the Florida State National Championship in
Again, I may be limiting some of my reception again because it is a loop antenna, and you guys are familiar with how the directivity of the loop actually works. So I may have some of the stations actually nulled out in my area.
touch this boy. It's a perfect picture of what happened.
Y hace lo que la carne quiere.
BT, arrive on time. And every 10 minutes, mornings and afternoons, on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBC. Charlotte's traffic station.
Whether your business van carries people, packages...
You can see I'm just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and there's all kinds of signals here coming in from the Charlotte area.
The Sprinter Summer Sales Event is going on now.
Which is the Holy Spirit. If you cannot be
Out there in the garden said, Father, not
Okay, I actually had some slippage there in the tuning indicator itself. But anyway, I think that wraps it up. I'll go ahead and continue to do just a little bit more cleaning on the chassis. I got most of the crud off, and then get the new dial string on here so I can actually tune it the way I should be. And then for those that haven't noticed, there's a dial cover that should be on here based on feedback that I've received, plus looking at some photos online which are not really clear. So if anybody out there is watching this video and you happen to have this particular radio, if you could send me a close-up shot of the dial cover itself that protects the dial pointer, I'd love to see it. But I'll probably fabricate one. So let me just go ahead and get the dial string knocked out and let the radio play for a little bit longer on the bench, probably another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, and then go back and also double check some of my DC voltages to make sure that everything is spot on. Again, my current consumption on the radio is really where it should be. It's just a tick under 1/4 of an amp. So that's fantastic. And then I'll look, I might put a fuse underneath here as well, since I'm going to be giving this to a friend of mine. Hey, thanks for joining. I appreciate you checking out the RF alignment and the restoration series. I'll probably do one final video that maybe covers the dial cover and again the dial string, and then get this thing back in the cabinet and get it presentable back to a good friend of mine. Okay guys, I've got the dial cord back on the radio. Here's the diagram for doing so. And again, it was pretty straightforward. I had to again just remove the tuning dial indicator that was held on just by a couple fasteners, one on the side of the tuning condenser and the other one being right here. But anyway, this thing went back on pretty good. Now, one little trick that I use, again, once you estimate the number of or the inches of dial cord that you need, is I actually hold mine in place with clothespins and then tie the knots. And again, I just had to replace that spring. I just pulled out one of my assortments, and then I know there's different methods. This stuff will come loose very easily, so just a couple drops of super glue and you're good to go. So anyway, it seems to be tracking well. And by the way, I did put some Labelle's oil on the bearings of the tuning condenser, and I'm actually going to put a drop here on the back side of the shaft as well, just to free it up just a touch. Again, I want to be careful not to get any grease or oil here on the where the 3 turns of dial cord are on the shaft itself. Otherwise, I'll have some slippage. It seems to be doing well. So that's it for the dial cord. Just wanted to share that with you. Okay, I've got the tuning indicator back on with the dial pointer, and put a drop of the Labelle's oil down here in that shaft, and I tell you what, this thing is tracking smooth as silk. So very pleased. Again, we'll look at making a dial cover to protect the dial pointer. That'll be my next video in this series. Again, thanks for watching. Appreciate all my new subs out there as well. Hey, one more thing real quick. You can use these craft wooden sticks here for reinforcement to the back plane of the back cover. So that's what I chose to do here, just a little super glue, and gave that some reinforcement. So it should keep this thing from completely falling apart. Actually, it already started separating up here completely. So this should provide some relief, and maybe we'll get a few more years out of this this back piece. Just wanted to share that idea with others out there.
We're going to bring in designers so we can get the best bang for the buck, and we're going to bring in somebody like you, Ash, who can tell us, hey, if we do this work, what is what?